All right. Well, today we'll do a TablePress training. Before I go into how TablePress works, I'm going to kind of go over the accessibility of tables. There are three types of tables. Tables are used to like compare data. You don't want to use them for like layouts. So one of the tables, one type of table is a data table. Um, and this just compares the type of data. So as you can see, there's time, there's event, and there's a presenter. Um, this is all the data that compares in the table. So this is also a simple data table, whereas there's complex data tables, which is the second. Complex data tables can be accessible, but they're not suggested for usability purposes. This is where you can include merged or split cells. Um, Assistive technology can navigate this technically, so that's why it can be accessible, but it's both, it can be complicated, especially if you have a lot of cells, for a user to understand whether they're using assistive technology or not, which is a screen reader. And there's layout tables, which is the third type. These are not accessible. These tables are just used to organize content. As you can see, there's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and there's time, but there's not really like a point to this. We have now in the new web design system, at least, more blocks to help us organize information in different ways. Some common errors when creating tables is using a table or a layout table to visually align or design your content. Like I said, it's not accessible. Using a data table without table headers, and then having an empty cell in a header, row, or column, which having an empty cell in general, not necessarily accessible. So either put a 0, like an NA, like not available, to be announced if depending on, the content. Using heading levels, so heading to instead of table headers. Um, and so some best practices to improve the accessibility and usability of our tables. So using tables to comparing data, create appropriate table headers, rows, and or columns. I see your hands up, Jody. Do you want to ask a question now or?
I did. I want to go back to empty cells and putting in a 0 or an NA. Is it acceptable to put in a 0 and an NA and then have it be so that there's no color so it doesn't show
No, no
visually?
color. Oh, um,
So it would be read by
that,
a screen reader, but it wouldn't
yeah.
be, you wouldn't see it.
I don't see how that wouldn't be accessible if you know how to do that. I personally do not know how to do that. So if you
Oh,
know how to do
okay.
that, then I think that would work. I don't know how to make that only appear for screen readers. Efren might know that question, but he is on vacation. So,
Got it.
um, it, and I don't know if he would know it like off the top of the head. It might be something that requires some research, but yes, um, I feel like that would be accessible because a screen reader will at least read it. And you can still tab through everything. And if you're not using a screen reader and you don't see it, usability purposes, it'll be fine. Yeah. So create appropriate table headers, so rows and or columns with the application formatting tools or HTML tags. Use simple tables, so up to one header row and one header column rather than complex tables. So multiple header rows and columns, including merged cells and split cells. Use 0, no value, not applicable, left blank, or other appropriate text rather than empty header cells to avoid confusion. Again, it's not just technically header cells, it's all cells. And using unique table option or caption, so title or description, digital document when describing the identity or purpose of the table. I will also drop this link in the chat so you guys can utilize this. Oh, Sarah said it would, yep, that would require some custom CSS. Oh, I said this is Sarah only. All right, there you go. Um, so now I'm just gonna go into my sandbox. And when you log in, after logging, you can go to your backend. And once this plugin is activated, and if you don't have access to your plugins, you can message us. or user web support forum, you'll go to this TablePress plugin, and then I'm going to click Add New Table. I'm going to give a random table name, GA4 website user data. And then you do want to always fill out a description. I know it says optional, but a screen reader, when it goes through, it will read the description to someone so they'll know if they need to just skip the table and go to the next section, or if they want to find out the information within this table. So I'm going to say GA4 user information for the last 12 months on website. And then I'm going to choose 4 rows, and I'm going to choose 2 columns, and I'll select this add table. And so I'm just going to copy, I created a little table with some fun information. So I'm going to select website. So I got to move this chat and the zoom bar. I'm going to just input some information in here. So I'm just going to kind of say what this information is. I just collected some GA4 data for the amount of users of the last 12 months from these sites. If I can get it to work. And then you can go down if you want to add a row or a column. You can just select this add. If you want to delete, you can select it this way and select delete. These are some table options. The first row of the table is the header. We always want to have that selected. You can choose whether to select this or not. It depends on this. If you want to show your table name, you can select this. If you want it below, which I don't know why you would, but most likely you want it above. There's also this table description. If you do want to show it, you can do above or below. I'm going to do above. And then there's features of the data table. So we want to keep this first one enabled. And then I'm just going to deselect this one, and I'm going to keep those ones. The reason I deselected these is because it is a small table, so I don't find the reason for having 10 rows per page or a search bar needed. If you have more of a longer table, this might be something you want to enable. And then I'm going to select changes, save changes. And then I'm just going to go to this page that I created. And you'll want to use the shortcode block. I'm sorry, I should have done this first. So now I'm going to go back to TablePress, and we'll see our table or our GA4 website user data. I'm going to select show shortcode. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to create this shortcode block, and then I'm going to paste that in there, and I'll click update. So as you can see, we have these column headers, or not column, row headers. I'm going to come back in here because I want to add a column header. So the shortcode I'm going to want to add to create that is, have it in my, where'd it go? I don't have everything memorized. Okay, it's in my notes. There we go. And I will paste this in the chat so you guys can hold on to this short code. I'm going to click update, and then we can view again. As you can see, this will create the column headers, and then we have row headers, and this makes the table very accessible. I'm just going to go back to here. Let's just say maybe I wanted to actually link to these sites. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to, so many things are blocking my way. I'm going to enter this. So I'm going to copy, and I'm going to go to the communications website. I'm gonna copy that URL, come back to my table, insert between these quotation marks, and I'm just gonna click Save Changes. If we come back to our table and click refresh, now I can select this and it will bring me to that site. And we can do that with all of those. Again, I will drop that HTML code in the chat. I'll just do that to all of them real quick. You'll want to put the descriptive text between brackets. This is CAHNRS academic site, so I'll paste that in the chat and then create the CAHNRS site. Yeah. And then again, select Save Changes, and then if I refresh, now all of these are accessible here. I'm gonna come in here. Another table option is you can select this plus button or come up here and select this plus button or just type in here table. Great table. Here's where I do prefer TablePress. You can only have a header section and you do need to select that. It's also really hard to delete these cells if you need to erase them or add them. I did create 4x2, but I actually needed a table, needed 3x2 because when I create this header section, it does it for me. So like I said, websites, GA for users last 12 months. And then you can obviously input your data because I already did that in the other table. I'm just gonna do data throughout. Update, come in here, and you can see the difference in them. I would, if you have a very simple table, this table I think is a little bit, it could be, I don't think either is better or worse. If you have a simple table, this one I don't think would be that hard to deal with. But if you know that you're going to be updating a table in the future, maybe data changes, I suggest TablePress because it's a lot easier to navigate with those changes. And then just some tables, like we have one on our communication site for publishing, our online bookstore. Some things you can do is we can add short code for this. Again, stuff's in my way. The short code for this style table buttons. I'm gonna input in the chat. We can come back here. We just come after true, things like that. Update. Oh my goodness. Of course, when I try to show it, it doesn't work.
It's an extra plugin add-on that needs to be activated.
Oh, I did not realize that. But that's good to know. And then I'm just gonna insert some resource links in the chat as well. This is some this first resource, this page. It gives you some of the I don't know why my bullet point's not going away, but it gives you some of the TablePress editor shortcodes that you need. The first, I'll do the whatchamacallit, the TablePress core concepts again. And then the plugin training for TablePress as well on the main webwsu.edu website. Yeah, I think that's all I kind of wanted to show and go over. Are there any questions? And I'll stop recording. maybe.